Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Oh God. Now, I'll be honest, I'm doing these beer reviews in pairs. So I'll do two at a time. And the two that are coming up, one's kind of normal. And then I looked at another one, and I'm like, 3.5%. The one we're doing today is only 4.2%. Well, I'm saying today, but the one I'm doing now at 4.2%. But I'm just looking at the next one. I never noticed that in the label. That's 8.5. And I think it's a lager again. Fucking hell. Seriously. I'm going to have for tits. But yeah. Oh, this one's gone mental. This is. I thought I'll put this in because people might like this. But what we're doing is, today we're doing Hoppy Lager number 2. And it says that because look, there's hoppiness and everything else. They're getting all excited. Look at that. Ooh. And NAO Lanzarote. I think this is actually made in Lanzarote. So it is. Which is good. There's no gluten in it, which comes as such a great relief. By I'm fucking bugged up as it is anyway, you know what I mean? Last thing I need is gluten. Tell you. I'm spending most of my holiday with my tweeds and my ankles, you know, emptying the bin as they say. But yeah, lovely. So yeah, so it's a Hoppy Lager. Right, shall we crack it open? And again, if you don't know, I don't have a bottle opener, so I'm just doing a spoon, but unfortunately the spoon's a bit bloody bendy, so I've got to do it in kind of sections, because this is a spoon that the wife could eat. Shit, that fucked right across the apartment. That's another thing, is a kind of strange one though, because this is all inclusive, but it's a kind of an apartment. It's not hotel rooms, it's like kind of, it's a hotel, but it's all kind of an apartment, so you've got a kind of a living room and everything else, as you can see, big couch and that. And there's a kind of a little small kitchen and kind of breakfast bar here and that type of stuff. You've got the double bedroom over there, you've got the toilet, bathroom and the bin emptier in there. And yeah, marvellous. So we get this board. So yeah, again, if you don't know, we're in a kind of more of a Spanish resort rather than a kind of British resort over here. So this is where the Spanish kind of come to holiday. You know, so whoa, just here, that's the distance. I'm getting wafts of hops here. Oh yeah, kind of strange. I'm getting a slight passion fruit notes here. Getting a little hint of malt, but it's mostly hops I'm getting, and yeah, I'm getting kind of passion fruit tones. Maybe slightly floral as well, but majority is kind of passion fruit. Overall, it actually smells very nice, and you can see we've got a little bit of haze to it. It actually smells quite inviting. And remember, this is the lager, and this is the one you can buy in all the kind of supermarkets kind of round about. Probably won't get them in the bars because they're all, oh, you could have Carling, you could have Foster's, bit of football, you know, chicken in a basket. Yeah, it's on a plate, but fuck it, we'll call it chicken in a basket anyway because we'll pretend it's the UK. We'll put vinegar on it for you, you know what I mean? That type of thing, you know, all these bars that, of course, there's no door, it's just a shutter that kind of comes down at the end of the night because there's no real front wall to it because it's all open and that. And I hate that. I'm sorry, I just don't like that. I like a proper bar or pub. And my view is I'd rather go to a Spanish bar or pub than one of these kind of pseudo kind of British pubs or bars that you have that have got, you know, it's like pool tables out in the fucking, you know, outside, you know, that type of stuff. Everybody sits and drinks on a veranda. You know, they've got TV screens outside. I'm thinking, nah. While that might kind of make convenience for me, It loses the character and the vibe. It's got to be enclosed. A pub should be enclosed. You've got to be able to walk in to a bar where the door shuts behind you. And that's it. It's all part of the atmosphere, the environment, the whole lot, you know what I mean? These open places, well, Jesus, you might as well, you could drink anything, eat anything, that type of stuff, walk away, you think, yeah, that just doesn't really feel it in. So, let's see what this tastes like. I'm getting slightly peachy, slightly passion fruit toned. No citrus, no grapefruit, no bitterness. And I'll be totally honest, that's actually quite nice. It really is actually. Quite surprising that. There's no bitterness at all to this kind of lager. There's not a bad, I'm not saying there's a huge amount of malt, but there's not a bad bit of malt there. Nice bit of, this is obviously a kind of local kind of craft beer by the looks of it. But it's actually not too bad. It's hazy, as a craft beer pretender would like to say. Me, I would say it's slightly kind of cloudy. Excuse me. That was from the last beer, which wasn't any of the ones I was reviewing. I was just finishing off lunch. So, God, it's warm today. Sweating like a dog with two cocks. But yeah. The malt's not too bad. The sweetness is okay. The grain's okay, it's fine, not a problem. But just the hops are just giving two nice little tones, slightly peachiness and slightly passion fruit. And overall, it actually tastes quite nice. Well, I'll be totally honest. A lot nicer than your normal kind of mainstream piss waters. So there you go. So we'll break down these flavours. Hops are all over this. Even right from the front of the mouth, where you're basically getting the malt, the little bit of grain, and the malt is kind of nice, kind of golden syrup, kind of tones of malt, and a bit of sweetness. But straight away, you're starting to get little peachy tones coming into the front of the mouth. As it starts to transfer to the mid-tongue, that's where you start picking at the passion fruit. And about the middle of the mid-tongue, you've got both going at you. Peachiness and passion fruit. Again, the peachiness kind of slightly dies off at the back end of the mid-tongue, and it's really the kind of passion fruit that kind of transfers over to the kind of back of the mouth. All the flavours kind of dissipate, you know, quite quickly and all taken together, so it's quite a clean finish. But overall, it actually tastes quite refreshing in this type of weather. And it feels like it's definitely the hops that's providing this, and not any adjuncts or any kind of dodgy flavours. Or, I mean, I'll be totally honest, passion fruit, Jesus, you put any passion fruit anywhere near. I've done hard seltzer with using Russian turbo yeast, and I think we did one with raspberries, and excuse me, and we did one with passion fruit. Jesus, and we actually just put raspberries and passion fruit in both for the fermentation, and it ran fucking riot. One of the things is, both drinks came out with a nice flavour of passion fruit or raspberry. Problem is, because we used the turbo yeast, it ate up every available bit of sugar and God knows what else, and to the point that it was dry as fuck. Seriously, oh my God, we drinking it, you know, it's like that. Jesus, all cheeks, you know, you've now gone 5 inches higher on the seat, you know, Jesus God, it just draws everything then. All cheeks, to the point that you actually had to add additional sugar to actually drink it. Oh, by God, it was rocket fuel. So it was absolutely rocket fuel, but by God, it tasted really nice. But you had to counteract the dryness with some, I was putting a agave syrup in, just a little bit of that, just when we were making it up. When you're pouring out the bottles, a little bit of agave syrup, not a lot, but just enough just to give it a kind of slight sweetness to it, because by God was it so dry and bitter because of that. So from that point, what I was trying to get across is, I can make 5 litres of hard seltzer with 1 passion fruit, and all I'm just doing is sliced it and just putting the internals into the fermentation chamber, which at the time when we did it was using a pinter. So we had 2 pinters and we did 5 litres of one and 5 litres of the other. And yeah, both worked out a fucking treat, absolute treat, but by God. So it doesn't take much, but you're getting these tones with because certain hops will give you that. And overall, it's actually quite refreshing. And you see, it's quite lively as well, you know. While it doesn't have any gluten, I would probably say, by the looks of it, it definitely hasn't been filtered. So it hasn't. It's unfiltered. And overall, is it NACMOS? NAObeer.com. So NAObeer.com. I'll have a look at it and I'll probably put any details I've got on it. I'll take a picture of that. Overall, actually quite nice and quite refreshing, something a bit different. And it says a hoppy lager, but because with the hops and everything else and the amount of malt that needs to be there to carry it, and there's a nice balance. I would probably say, they call it a lager, but I would probably say it's more of a kind of a hazy golden ale, because with the mouthfeel and everything else and just the way things are, it really is more of an ale than a lager, and that's why, you know, it can carry the bags of flavour and everything else. And yeah, I actually quite like this, so I'm going to give this a score on an ale, on a kind of open beer scale, as well as a lager scale, because they're calling it a lager, but I would probably say it's actually closer to more of a hazy blonde ale, you know, bordering on maybe a golden ale. So yeah. Overall, updating the holiday, knackered. I'm absolutely knackered. I just didn't need this. I didn't need this holiday or this travelling. I've got so much work to go back to, and I'll be totally honest, I'm not going to go back refreshed, because right now I'm feeling knackered. Just because me and the wife, we like to go out, walk, we like to get our steps in, we like to get our exercise, because we're getting on a bit. Let's be totally honest, we're getting on a bit. We're in our 50s, and we understand that we've got to basically, we've got to do our exercise, we've got to put the work in. You've got to stay healthy and fit and everything else. It ain't going to happen sitting your arse, so you've got to put the work in. I mean, on average, we're one of the first down at breakfast. I mean, when people are coming down to get their breakfast, we've had our breakfast, came back, got changed, and we're out for a walk. You know, and we've done maybe about 8,000 to 10,000 steps and things like that. You know, so on 8,000 to 10,000 steps, that's about 4 or 5 miles. You know what I mean? Walking, just in the kind of, round about the kind of 8 o'clock to kind of 9 o'clock. You know, that kind of feel. And while I like to do it, and I like to do it just because of the heat, the added kind of heat to it, and also, even though sleeping in that, it's not your own bed and everything, so you never quite sleep as good as you would normally sleep. And there is the heat, even with the fans on and everything else, it's just a little bit kind of, a little bit more uncomfortable than you probably would have at home and things like that. So you're not quite sleeping as well as you could, and also even just going your kind of early morning walks is a little bit more, just because it's a heck of a lot warmer than what I'd be doing back in the UK around about this time. So overall, it just helps to knock you out. And the Welsh wants to go to the bloody pool, God knows how many fucking times and things like that. And oh, let's go shopping. I mean, when we arrived in, went for dinner. went down to the supermarket and I got some beers and she got some bits and bobs and snacks and that type of stuff that she wants to have when she's having her whiskey. And then once we did all that, we went back out for a walk. And this is the thing, is that I hadn't done really anything getting to the plane, really. I drove and everything else, so I didn't really pick up many steps. And even then, going from the airport to the transfer and everything else, hotel and that, very little. I would probably say it would be no more than 2,000 steps. And then, Jesus God, after everything that we did in the first night, going to the supermarket, blah, 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 and we walk afterwards and things like that, I was almost 14,000 steps. And I'm thinking, Jesus God, I'm absolutely dead on my feet. And you think, oh, get better. It doesn't. It just kind of hangs on to you. You never really get clear of it because you're not quite sleeping the way you are. The walks in the morning are just taking a little bit more of a toll, but just because of the heat and things like that. And overall, I'm absolutely bloody knackered. I'll be totally honest. You're feeling fighting fit. They all say, oh, a bit of exercise and that. No, I'm just... I'm going to go home. I'll be totally honest. Not because I don't like it here and everything else. I actually quite like it. It's just, it's the wrong time. I came here at the time where I didn't need to come. I didn't really want to come. I really came here just to keep the wife company because she wanted a kind of break and things like that. She wanted some sun, you know. I don't sit in the sun. I try and avoid it because I just kick myself if I'm in the sun. But you know what women are like. They want to, brown is healthy apparently, you know what I mean? If that's the case, I'll smear my own shit, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm sure that offer would be declined very fucking quickly. So, what would I give this out of 10? On a lager front, it's actually quite nice, quite refreshing. Just there's a nice balance there as well between the hops and the malt. I would say they're calling it a lager, but I think they're being kind of a bit disingenuous. It is more of a kind of a blonde ale, I would say, just especially with the mouthfeel and everything else. So on that basis, on a lager, I'm going to give, on a lager scale, I'm going to give this an 8. No, I'm going to give it an 8.5. It's actually very nice. Out of the ones I've had so far, it stands out so much. So yeah, Hoppy Lager number 2 from the local brewery, which is NAO beer, which is NAO, well, I'll just put it up there, NAO beer, you can see it, NAO beer, NAObeer.com. And yeah, going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 on the lager front. And or the lager scale, if I look at it from a general beer, which includes traditional ale, craft ale, all that kind of stuff, so a traditional beer scale, I'm going to give it a 5.5. It's very drinkable. 5.5, very drinkable. Nice that they're using the hops without having to, they are using slightly more New World hops in there, but they're not going down the stupid route of citrus and grapefruit and piney back end. It's nice that they're just utilising it to get that kind of slightly refreshing tones, and it does work actually. So yeah, fair play to them. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10 on the lager scale, and 5.5 out of 10 on the kind of general beer, which is really the ale scale. So fair play to them. It's definitely the best one I have had so far, and quite surprised at that, really, quite surprised. So fair play to them. So anyway, it's Hoppy beer number 2, it's 330ml bottle. It's 4.2%. Like I said, it's 5.5 on the ale kind of scale, and 8.5 on the lager scale. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye for now.